It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Zach Cohen, who is a Florida Gators student broadcaster. Along with, he works with other podcasts and other networks. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brandon. Excited to be on. I appreciate you reaching out.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you got started with the sports broadcasting and working in it?
So I think it's been since I could talk, I knew I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. I used to have this little ESPN toy microphone that I carried everywhere, and I would use it. So I guess it's kind of destiny that I would be a sports broadcaster one day. I did a lot of stuff in high school, Cypress Bay High School down in South Florida. I was a broadcaster, there's main anchor for the television programming that we had there for live events. I broadcasted football, basketball, soccer, a little softball. And then I come here to UF. I'm a junior now. So I joined the UF Student Broadcast Network, which is basically a class, and it gives us the opportunity to broadcast the games, which is awesome. And then I've had some opportunities with the Prep Zone, which is like a local high school network down here. So I've been able to broadcast high school games. As of now, I have a high school football game, East Side versus Gainesville next Friday. And then Saturday after that, I've got the Gators Arkansas game, I believe. I'll have to double check that, but it's been pretty busy. It's been fun too.
That's wonderful. How did you get started with the Florida broadcasting?
Well, I knew coming in that they had a relatively new but really cool program here. Had spearheaded by Eric Esterline and Mike Rideout. So I signed up for that. And then the first semester that I signed up for it, I got into class. I know it's a pretty coveted class. A lot of people want to be in it. And it was my freshman spring, I believe. So freshman 2019, spring 2019, I think, is when the first time I did it. And it's, we just kind of talk about sports broadcast. We talk about play-by-play mostly, and learning how to broadcast all these different types of sports. I've done Gators football. I've done high school football. I've done Gators basketball, men's and women's. I've done Gators soccer. I've done some high school men's basketball too. And we're going to see what else I'm going to do this school year. Already done some football. Got some football coming up. And it's just been really fun. A lot of the people in it are great. Mike Rideout, who's the primary instructor, he's awesome. They've really helped me out, and I feel like I've gotten better with it. So it's been really cool to be a part of that.
Can you talk about your experience being the play-by-play?
Yeah, so for most parts, it's relatively the same as what I did in high school, kind of, sort of. But for here, we have access to some stadiums. So for women's basketball, we get to actually be in the O-Dub, in press row, during the games broadcasting, which is awesome. For men's basketball games, it's a little more crowded, so we have to broadcast that from a remote studio in our journalism school, which is literally right down the street. And then after that, we get to go to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium and broadcast football games. We get to be all the way at the end in one of the press boxes that no one really wants to use for the most part. And we can sit there, we hook up our equipment, and we just go live. We send out a link for people to listen to, and it's been great. Obviously, this year we aren't able to really broadcast from on-site games, so we do everything remote. But it's been interesting. It still always has been fun.
With talking about COVID and stuff, of course, with that, have y'all been able to broadcast, for example, the football games live, or do y'all have to go to y'all's home base?
Yeah, so we really do it from the home base, or at least Gator sports we do. High school football, which is kind of separate from UF, but it's Mike Rideout also runs that stuff too, so he gives me lots of opportunities to broadcast. I think I'll be on 103.7 I did that earlier in the year, so I'm gonna probably do that again in next week when I do high school football. And so we actually get to go to the stands for them. Obviously, adhering to social distancing rules, wearing masks at all times. And if there's any reason why I shouldn't be able to go, or there's symptoms, won't go. We always play it safe. UF screens us too every 2 weeks, and it's really easy to get tests around Gainesville and on campus. So if we ever felt like things weren't safe, then we just wouldn't broadcast. But we can be on site for high school football games. It does stink a little bit. We can't be in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium to broadcast, but that's just some of the sacrifices we got to make. And at the end of the day, it's still fun things we're doing. We're still calling games. And if it's in front of a screen, so be it.
Can you talk about the Draft Network and how you've become a sports writer for that?
Yeah, I love the Draft Network. I've been a fan of theirs since they were created, so I've followed all their stuff. I'm a huge in the NFL draft. I love the NFL. I love football in general. That's my real passion, I don't want to say like football is a personality trait of mine, but I feel like it's come to that. And it's kind of scary, but it's also fun to do that stuff. And with the Draft Network, like I said, I was a fan, and I reached out, I think in March, to Robert Juden, who's director of media and marketing there for the Draft Network. He has a huge role. He's also a Gator alum. So I reached out and said, hey, I would love to help any way I can. I can do a lot of things. I can do video production. I can write. I love being on camera, all that stuff. And we talked. We had some good talks, and I've been interning with him since July. At first, it started off more with video production-based roles, some social media management. I'd never managed social media before, but now I've been doing it for months. So that's just another thing to add to the resume. And I do some video production behind the scenes. I get some clips. I run the YouTube channel, which has been popping off lately. It's been great running all that stuff and listening to interviews and debates and serving it up onto the channel. And then lately, the past month or so, with Jamie Eisner's help, I've started writing fantasy football articles for them. I'll write 3 a week. It's a waiver wire column on Monday, players to drop column on Tuesday, and a Friday column, emergency replacements. So that's been super fun. I'm huge into fantasy football. I think I get like 20 texts a day at this point just for fantasy football advice. So it only makes sense that I get to write a little bit about after the Draft Network. Just seeing their progress from when I was a fan to helping be a part of something that's bigger than myself and working with such amazing people. It's truly incredible. I'm so blessed to just have a role with them and be a part of their growth.
Can you talk about writing for the NFL Spin Zone?
Yeah, so that's been fun too. I started that, I want to say my sophomore year of college, maybe junior year. I wrote for this website called Armchair All-Americans for a little bit, which was nice. And then I decided to join NFL Spin Zone, which is a branch of Fansided, which is lots of reaches in the sports world. They're pretty incredible too. And so I write for them. I've kind of like dwindled down my responsibilities. The last 2 years, I would do this big Monday or Tuesday column recapping the week. I'd like to throw some hard hitting analysis. And then lately, like the last year, I incorporated some fantasy football, some college football. I love doing awards too. I like to have a little fun with it, like writing about what happened. But then you dish out some like weird awards, like best celebration, best uniform, the Hands Award for best catch. So I've did that for the last couple years. This year with my role at the Draft Network, it's kind of taking a little step back from NFL Spin Zone, but I still write for them a little bit. I think the last article I wrote was Tua Tagovailoa becoming the starter for the Dolphins. I'm a big Miami Dolphins fan, so I had to jump on that opportunity. And it's been good for them. I'm still planning on writing a little bit more. I've got one article teed up that should hop out sometime this month for them. But that's been really fun, too, to work with some of those great people over there. Cody Williams, the site expert, he's been great, so encouraging. So just being able to have a say and get my thoughts about the NFL out into the world, that's all I can ask for.
What have you learned since you've been a sports broadcaster that you didn't know beforehand?
I didn't know beforehand. I loved reading, like learning about sports broadcasting before, like I even really started calling games. So while I always felt like I knew a lot, you really don't until you get that real world experience. You get those repetitions. Getting reps is so important as a sports broadcaster. There's a lot of things that I've learned though. Maybe one thing, Well, I guess there's there's a few things. It's hard to really narrow it down. Some things that really stand out to me is the power of your voice. You know, a lot of people, like, that's the first impression of someone is you hear when they speak. So learning how to, like, channel your voice and really use it as an instrument was something I never really thought about before. People kind of tend to do it like I am right now, like raising inflection, adding emotion. But that's really something that I've taken from sports broadcasting, and I've used it when I'm broadcasting games. But even when I'm talking to random people, on the phone, just in everyday life, so that's been really cool too. And then just really hammering home the preparation and the dedication to the craft. You know, as I said, getting reps with sports broadcasting and commentating games is huge. That's you need to do that. You know, it's like practice makes perfect. Well, sports broadcasting, it's never going to be perfect. Every game you can always learn something new about that, and it's just being dedicated to that idea that it's all about the growth. You know, you're going to have fun. It's the best job in the world. Getting paid or not me. I don't get paid for that, but I don't really care because it's fun anyway. Just I love it so much. And if you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life. So being able to broadcast games, it's a dream job. It really is. And I've learned so much. And I take pride in the fact knowing that I will continue to learn more about it. So I look forward to that type of growth too.
Where do you see your sports broadcasting going? Like after, of course, you graduate college, do you see yourself getting on ESPN or like Fox or something like that?
That's a great question, Brandon. I try not to think too much about that. I try not to pigeonhole myself either, because I'd always been like, yeah, like I'll be ESPN one day, or I'll be like NBC Sports one day. But the biggest thing, and I had a good talk with Mike Morgan from ESPN about this yesterday, that versatility is so important today. You know, being able to know and do everything is huge. And at this point, I've had a lot of experience. I've done radio, writing, I've anchored, I've done reporting. I know how to edit. I know how to, I know AP style like the back of my hand. And that took some time too. So I know how to do everything in the industry really. And that's what's going to really get me my next job. So I wouldn't say I've got like a specific idea. I just know that whatever I need to do to get to that place where I want to be, I'm going to do it. As long as I enjoy what I do, that's all that I really care about, because I have enough confidence in myself and my abilities, as evident by everything and all that I do, to help me get to where I need to be. So just anything, ideally, I guess, if I could be on air, whether radio or TV, talking about football, that'd be the dream. But I would just be so happy and so proud to be anywhere really post college. I still got a year and a half left to really hammer that home, but I've started thinking a couple things about that, but we'll see where it takes me, you know?
Who are some people that you've were inspired by whenever it came to being a sports broadcaster?
I am a big Al Michaels fan. I read his autobiography 1.5 times. I guess I just stopped midway through the second time, but the first time it was just as great too. I love, you know, he's one of the greats. It's amazing listening to him. Some other play-by-play guys I really like. Really like Brandon Gaudin. I've talked with him too a couple times. He's awesome. Kevin Burkhardt. He's one of the best people. I don't think he gets nearly enough credit. I obviously love, you know, the guys like Mike Breen and Joe Buck, but Kevin Burkhardt to me is one of those guys I look up to, and I can see myself being him. Kenny Albert's great, and then outside of play-by-play, you know, I love Peter King. He's kind of done a little broadcasting. He's more in. He's a sports writer. He does some broadcasting though, but I would consider, like, I look up to him a lot. We've had some good conversations. I also really like Colin Cowherd. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, but I still admire, you know, the passion and the preparation that he puts into it. And I love listening to him. I'm a big Katie Nolan fan too. I think, and you kind of look at how the media industry is going today. It's kind of transitioned into, I don't want to say a lot of opinion-based stuff, but a lot of room for people to really let their personalities shine in what they do. And I think she does a great job at that. So she's definitely been one of my favorites. I could probably go on about all the ones I look up to. I would say those are the bigger ones. But for Al Michaels on that pedestal, though, he's the GOAT.
Some of my people that I look up to is, like, of course, Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee and stuff.
I love Pat McAfee. Yeah, he's as great as he is. He's only going to keep getting better. So I'm excited to see where he's going to go too.
What advice would you have upcoming sports broadcasters looking to get into sports broadcasting?
Well, the first thing is to never stop learning, never stop asking questions, never stop reading. There's constantly things that you can learn. And it doesn't have to attain to just sports broadcasting too. Like building up your intellect and your knowledge about general things is important because Anish Shroff from ESPN gave me a great analogy for this. It's like you're just picking up more arrows to add to your arsenal, just different things you can incorporate into a broadcast. Because being intelligent and knowing as much as you can is a huge asset to have, not just in sports broadcasting, but in every aspects of life. So obviously you read those sports broadcasting books, read about the advice from the greats, reach out to them, talk to them, but don't be afraid to just hinder yourself to sports, learn about all types of things, pop culture, history. I'm taking a history class right now, and it's been pretty cool to kind of, think about all the things I've done sports broadcasting and kind of, I guess, intertwine them with tidbits about history. So that's been fun.
Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Yes, I am very active on Twitter at Zach Cohen FB, ZachCohen FB. It's mostly football, some Gators, some Dolphins. When NFL draft comes, it'll be mostly NFL draft. A little other things in there too. I'm a big Marvel movie fan, so you'll see me getting some stuff out in there. I'm not huge on Instagram, but if you want to shoot me a follow, I do post my work there. And it's the same, Zach Cohen FB. There's a lot of Zach Cohen, so I had to figure out something to put at the back end of that. Again, ZachCohen FB. LinkedIn too. My website, if you go on my Twitter account, it's got my website on there that links to my YouTube channel, all my other social media. So I would really say go through Twitter. That's the best thing I would say.
Thank you again, Zach, for your interview, and best of luck at Florida Gators being a student broadcaster.
I really appreciate that, Brandon. It's been awesome talking to you. And hey, you keep it up too. You're killing it, man. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Zach, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thanks, Brandon. You too.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.